I'm going in with the Anastasia Beverly Hills Brow Duo. This is the same sort of product I've been using for a little while for my brows. So you probably have seen this before. I'm also taking the 317 wing liner brush from Zoeva, or Zoeva. I'm just mixing the two colours together and blending them through the brows. I'm then going in with the Brow Artist Plumper from L'Oreal. This is actually in the darker shade, medium dark, and I only bought this yesterday because I saw it was on sale and I thought, why not give it a go. And I did then end up using it yesterday, but on its own it can be a little bit intense if you don't have like really dark eyebrows naturally. As I actually don't, as you can see, my brows are really fair. So I found it to be a little bit too harsh to use on its own. Whereas the blonde one I find is a little bit sort of, you can layer it up a little bit and it won't look as crazy, whereas this is actually like quite sort of dark and can look quite intense. So before I do my foundation, I'm just going to give my face a little bit of a spray of the Fix Plus from MAC. So I'm using the Chanel Perfection Lumiere foundation today in the colour 30 Beige, and I'm just going to buff that across my face with this buffing brush. This is from, I think, Crown Brushes. This is an oil-free foundation, which is good, and it actually is very fragranced, like so fragranced. Though generally all are, but I'm like sort of struggling to breathe because of how fragranced they are. Not in a bad way, I guess, but it's just like so in your face because it's like right under your nose and around your mouth. Just going with my soft ochre paint pot from MAC as an eyeshadow base. I'm just taking that on a fluffy brush. It's more so that I can just get it on my eye and then use my fingers to blend it out because my nails are too long. So I'm just going to take this little white eyeshadow from my eyes of the Window Shadow palette. So this is in the colour Spirit from Stila, and I'm just taking that. It's just a white base shadow. You can use any base shadow that you like. You don't necessarily need this one at all. But it's really just to set the lids. Although there's a lighter colour in the Naked palette, it's not quite light enough for it to set all over. Like I don't want to take that lightest colour that's matte all the way to the brow. So as I said before, this is a Naked palette that I'm using today. I'm going to go in with this Naked shade here, and I'm going to take that on my fluffy brush I was just using, and I'm just going to apply that to the mobile lid. On the tip of the brush, I'm going to take a little bit of that and just blend it under the eyes. Next, I'm going in with Buck, which is this brown colour here. Taking that on a fluffy brush, I'm just going to run that through the crease. Taking it quite high because we want this look to be a little bit sort of, I guess, dramatic, but in a more of a neutral way. So not too dark, but still quite dramatic. Again, just on the tip of that brush, I'm going to run that under the eye. And then I'm just going to take this black shade here, which is called Creep, and I'm taking that on a flat shader brush. Any flat shader brush will do. Just going to pick that up. Now make sure to tap it off because there's a lot of fallout in these shadows. And I'm just going to press that into what would be my winged liner shape. Sort of pressing it into the outer corner there and then dragging it across. Sort of joining it up with the top lash line. Just taking my fluffy brush again with a little bit of Buck on the end, and I'm just going to blend across the top of this shadow. Pretty much keeping it quite isolated to where the colour already is. Blending a little bit into the crease, but not too much. Sort of have to layer that black up and then blend and then layer it again, just to get sort of that smoky effect, but still have it nice and blended. And just give that bottom lash line a little blend as well. Next I'm going to take Sidecar, which is this really pretty colour here. It's quite glittery, so just be careful, make sure you tap that out. I'm taking it on a flat shader brush. I'm just going to apply that sort of to the centre of the lid, blending outwards. I'm actually just going to swap it up and use my finger to apply Sidecar because it sort of needs that buffing with the finger to get the real luster from the shadow. Just going to take that on my flat shader brush and run it underneath the eye. Then just going to go in with a bit of Fix Plus and spray my brush. And I'm taking a little bit of Toasted, which is this really pretty sort of pinky shade there. I'm just going to sort of sandwich that between the black and that shimmery colour. I'm just going to go back in with my little flat shader brush that had the black on and just sort of blend across the top of that shadow where it joins with the black. Just because that's a little bit wet with the Fix Plus, it can be a little bit too intense. I'm going to take my black again. I'm just going to layer back over the top just to re-intensify that. Then I'm going to take a little bit of this light shade at the end there, just on a little fluffy brush, and I'm going to blend that sort of on the inner corner of the eye. I'm going to mix it with a tiny bit of Sin, which is beside it, so I'm mixing Virgin and Sin. I'm just running a teensy bit along the brow bone. I'm just going to layer a little bit of Noir, which is this black colour here. So it's got tiny little flecks of gold in it, but it's actually like a black tone. And I'm just going to actually layer that over the top of the black that I've already been using, because it's not really quite black, it's more of a blue tone black. It's already if that's the only black sort of colour that you have, that's fine, but I'm just going to sort of layer this on top because I want it to be a little bit more black rather than blue black. Just using a little bit of buck on the end of my brush just to make things easier. I'm then taking my Naked Skin Urban Decay concealer in the colour Medium Light, or in the colour Medium Neutral. This is such a nice concealer, so good. Just because I want a bit more coverage, I'm just applying it through the centre of the face where I feel like I might need it, especially on my chin. Just going to take my foundation brush again and just blend it by patting. I'm then going to go in with a little bit of my banana powder from Anastasia Beverly Hills. This is to set that concealer. So just taking the Too Faced Milk Chocolate Bronzer in the colour Medium Deep. And with the fluffy brush, I'm just going to add some shape to the face. Just going to squeeze my brush and drag that through the cheekbone. Just going to take my flat shader brush I used in the beginning with a little bit of this bronzer, and I'm going to run that underneath the eye just to blend in the concealer and the eye colour so that it's not so sort of like a line. So I'm going to go with a little bit of liquid liner. I'm using the Glam Eyes Professional Liquid Liner from Rimmel, and I'm going to, because we've already done our eyeshadow, there's already the sort of shape set for us. Just going to let that dry for a second. Generally it's all happening where I want it to be and everything, so just let it dry and then you can layer it up if you feel like you need to in any places. That's the only thing I don't love about the eyeliner, is it can be a little bit sheer sometimes and you have to sort of layer it, but I think that's generally only sometimes depending on like how the brush sits. I'm taking Brick Lip Pencil from MAC. So for lipstick I'm using Glam, which is a matte lipstick from MAC. I'm then going to go with my Lash Power Mascara from Clinique. Pop a bit of that on my lashes. So for blush, I'm going to take this little blush from Kiko Milano, which is in the colour 104. Kiko Milano have some of the most beautiful things. It's a real shame that they're not in Australia yet, but I got these when I was overseas a while ago. So just taking a little bit of Hush cream colour base on my finger, I'm just going to press it onto the top of my cheek and blend it out with my other little finger there. So for lashes today, I'm using Pixie Luxe from House of Lashes. So I'm just bending that one around the end of my eyeliner just so that when I want to apply it, it'll sit a little bit better. So that one went on so much easier just because I had wrapped it around that eyeliner. It was sort of sitting on my eye so much better. So I'm just going to pop a little bit more brown mascara through the tops of my brows here, just for a bit more colour. So thanks for watching today, guys. I hope that you've enjoyed this makeup look. I've definitely enjoyed creating it and I love the way it's come out. Probably a little bit more dramatic than I had thought, but at the same time I love the effect it gives. You could definitely change it up a little bit and, you know, use a different coloured lipstick. Go for something more nude if you prefer. Tone it down the eyes if you do love the red but you don't want it to be as dramatic. So if you did enjoy the video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to Show Me How Beauty if you'd like to see more videos like this. And I'll see you in my next tutorial. Bye!